Hello, good morning, and welcome to this video about making room for improvement. So today is the waxing gibbous phase of the moon. So the full moon is coming up on Thursday, I believe, and we're in the waxing gibbous phase. So this is where we're like so nearly fully ripe and full in the sky, and we're just building that momentum up towards the full moon. And the waxing gibbous phase is all about making improvements. So as you can probably tell by now, I'm a little obsessed with the moon, and I talk a lot about the moon, and I relate a lot of what I talk about back to the moon phases. So far in the cycle, in the last 2 weeks, we've had setting intentions, then we've had planning how we're going to manifest these intentions, then we've been taking action towards manifesting these intentions, and then we have been and now we're in the phase of improving how we're going to do things and assessing what's going on. So there's three main things I want to talk about when it comes to making room for improvement. So the first thing is that making room for improvement is about clearing space in your life, right? It's about physically and energetically making room, clearing, getting rid of the old and making way for the new. So if you are unsatisfied of the way your life is going, and that can be that you're really unsatisfied of everything and you're totally miserable, or it can just mean that not everything is quite at its optimum and there's definitely some room for growth and improvement. So if your life was perfect, then you probably wouldn't be, looking for, Facebook groups and support and things like that. And personal development. So chances are, if you're watching this video, there are a few things in your life that you quite like improving. And there's probably a few things in your life that you would quite like to call in. More money, or a loving relationship, more friends, more fun, more opportunities, etc., etc. New habits. Maybe you want to, call in particular emotions. You want to call in happiness, adventure, peace, laughter, whatever it is. Most people would like to have some new things in their life. Energetic things, relationship things, habit things, physical things. There's always things that we would like to have in our life. And the universe works in contrast, the universe works in opposites, the universe works in this ebb and flow, this give and take. So if you want to bring things into your life, if you want to call in your dreams, then you need to make physical and energetic space for them. So if you want to own some new things in your home, for example, you might need to physically get rid of some things in your home to make literal space for them. And that is the physical example of this. But say you wanted some new relationships in your life. Say you were, that thing about we are the summary of the 5 people we spend the most time with in our lives. So if you look around and you're looking at the 5 people you spend your most time with, and you're like, these people aren't really the influences I would like in my life. Maybe you're trying to live a more ethical, peaceful, humble, quiet life, and you're surrounded by alcoholics and consumers and loud, aggressive people, and that's not really the influences you want. Likewise, say you want some more laughter and adventure and excitement in your life, and all the people in your life are just meditating 10 hours a day, they're also perhaps not the right influences in your life. So maybe you need some more relationships in your life, some deeper connections, but that also means that you might need to make room for those deeper connections by releasing some of your existing connections with people that are no longer really on the same vibe as you. Likewise, if you want to call in more fun or peace or laughter or adventure or love, then you might need to work through and release some of the more negative emotions that you're experiencing. Maybe you need to release the fear, shame, guilt and grief in order to make way for the love, peace, bliss, adventure, laughter. So whenever we want to call something into our life, we must also think about what we can release from our life that is no longer serving us, and have this continual ebb and flow of, of calling in and releasing. And that helps to make room for improvement. The second thing I want to talk about is making space. So making the room, making the space for improvement can often mean being less, being more and doing less. Being more and doing less. So being more in the feminine and doing less in the masculine. And that quite literally, if we're doing, right, so if we've got a finite amount of time in our day, right, we've got 24 hours in our day, let's take away 8 hours sleep. We'll be lucky if we get 8 hours sleep, but let's take away 8 hours sleep and we're left with 16 hours in our day. If you spend every second of those 16 hours doing, I must do, let's do all the things, do. And that's all you're doing with your day is just doing. Pure masculine, controlling everything, organising everything, taking action all the time, do, filling the void, filling the time with all of this masculine doing energy. Where is the space for anything to actually come into your life? Where is the space for the inspiration? Where is the space for the dreaming? Where is the space for the magic? So being more and doing less, you do here and you create a bit of space, and you do here and you create a bit of space. Spend time in silence, spend time in stillness, spend time going for a walk, spend time in meditation, spend time like chilling a bit more and not being so busy. And that can, help make the space and make the room for these improvements to come into your life, and for you to see where there could be improvements coming in to your life. Okay, so I'm just having a check because this new Facebook Live is confusing me, and I don't know if there's any comments or anything. Okay. So the third thing I want to talk about is about remaining unattached to being completely right and being so stuck in your ways that you never admit that anything's not going well, that you're like so married to the way that you're doing things and the way that you're being in the world that you're there's no room for improvement because you're so attached to the particular way that you're doing things. So one of the examples I love to use for this is talking about a morning routine. So a lot of people have a morning routine, whether they're aware of it or not, whether it's an intentional spiritual practice or literally just having a shower, brushing your teeth, eating your breakfast, getting dressed, all of the things, probably not in that order. But everyone has a morning routine. And particularly if you're in the sort of personal development, spiritual world, you probably have some kind of a spiritual practice you do in the morning, whether it's prayer or affirmations or yoga or meditation. There's likely some kind of an order to your morning routine. So for me, for example, my standard routine that has sort of come and go but has been like the staple for the last few years of my life has been, to wake up and have breakfast and do those bits, but then it's to do my gratitude practice, do my yoga, do my meditation. Sometimes I'll do some hula hooping, some shaking, some tapping, some brushing, some dancing to high vibe music. Sometimes I'll do some self Reiki on myself, and I'll do some practice giving and receiving love to and from the universe. So those are some of the things I have in my morning practice. A lot of people, myself included, they create this morning routine that they love. They've tried loads of things, they've figured out what's worked for them, it's great, it serves them really well, they've been doing it for a few months, it's going great, they've been doing it for a few more months, maybe they've been doing it for a few years now, but maybe they haven't actually taken the time to think, is this still the best practice for me? Is this still the best way to start my day? And it's likely that the best way to start your day 3 years ago is not necessarily the best way to start your day today. So if you are attached to this morning routine, if you're super attached to the exact order of it, to the exact length of time you're doing these things, to the exact practices that you're doing in this, if you're super attached to them, you will continue to do them past their expiry date, and they will no longer be serving you, but you'll still be doing them because you're so stuck in your ways. Making room for improvement is about taking these sort of daily practices, these daily habits, these things you do on a regular basis that you may have been doing for a while, and they probably started out with the best of intentions and with it being the best use of your time and the way to serve your needs at that time. But if we're not sort of assessing things like this regularly and going, could I tweak this a bit? Could I make this more powerful? Could I make this simpler, easier, shorter, longer? Could I change this in any way? Because when we're married to the way things are, when we're really attached to things, when something comes along and like throws a spanner in the works, it can really throw us and fluster us. So at the beginning of this year, I had my routine down. I was doing really great, and I had my yoga, my gratitude, my yoga, my meditation, my hula hooping, my shaking, and my dancing. That was what I was doing. And then I got a shoulder injury, and I could no longer do some of the poses in my yoga routine, and it was no longer really that beneficial for me to be dancing and shaking so vigorously, nor perhaps for me to be hula hooping. So I slowed down. I removed a lot of these things from my routine, and I changed them and I replaced them with like some self-reiki and some, instead of doing all the physical ones, I started doing some more self-reiki and more meditation instead, and doing the internal healing work. But at first I was like, I miss my hula hooping, and I miss my specific yoga routine, and I miss my dancing and my shaking, and I was really sad to let them go because I loved doing them. But I acknowledged there was a change in my needs, and I needed to change up my routine. And then when I was ready, I brought them back in, I brought them back less, and then I increased them, and I changed the things around. And then, on days when I'm super busy, maybe I make it shorter. On days when I'm not so busy, maybe I make it longer, and I adapt it and adjust it to my needs. And this is, just one small example of the ways that you can, being unattached to some of these practices and things in your life, that you then leave room for them to improve and to make these improvements. And I often feel like, just carrying on from this, I often feel like in the mainstream spiritual community that people are really expected to have like a solid opinion on every spiritual and philosophical concept. Like we have to know all the answers straight away. It's like as soon as you're on your path of enlightenment, it's like you must know all the answers. You cannot ask any questions. You cannot remain on the fence. You cannot be like, oh, I don't know, I haven't really thought about that. You constantly feel like you have to have an opinion, have some knowledge, and have some answers. And that if you don't have those opinions and answers and insights, then you're being judged as like being less spiritual or less enlightened somehow. And this makes me so mad. This makes me so mad, because since when did spiritual philosophy become about knowing everything? And when did it stop being about curiosity, exploration, the continual willingness to be wrong, to change your mind, to change your opinion, to be open to a new perspective, to new ideas, to new answers, to new opinions, to be open to being wrong, or even holding contradictory views about something? Out of all my beliefs and the things that I believe to be true in the universe and the way that the world works, quite a lot of contradictory things in there that my logical mind says couldn't both be true. That couldn't both be true. But I don't care. Like, I believe this, I'm open to being wrong, I'm open to being right, I'm open to it being nothing like I expected, and I love that I don't exactly know, and it's all a bit of a mystery, and life is just this constant puzzle that I'm trying to work out. Sometimes I feel like, yes, I have all the answers, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, man. And that's okay. That's okay, because there's always room for improvement. There's always room for development, for exploration, and for evolution. When did spirituality become about knowing it all and having all the answers figured out? It's never been about that. In fact, it's always been about the exact opposite. It's always been about exploration and philosophizing. Philosophy is quite literally just like, I wonder if it could be like this. Oh, but it could possibly be like this. And how about if it was like this? And what would we do if it was like this? And oh, what about this theory? That's what philosophizing is. That's what exploration is. It's about being open to infinite possibilities and knowing that you don't know it all. Knowing that what you're doing in your life right now might be serving you in this moment, but it may not be serving you in a minute's time or a week's time or a year's time. And to constantly be open to making that space in your life and that room for improvement. I believe that we can really only be truly spiritual when we accept that we don't know it all and that we don't have all the answers, and that we're open to evolving and improving our lives. There is always room for improvement. We are never the final masterpiece. If we were the final masterpiece right now, then it's over. You're done. Like, there's no need to carry on, right? But accepting that there is always growth to be done, improvement to be done, evolution to be done, exploration to partake in, that's like, to me, that's really exciting. That's really exciting. There's always somewhere to grow into, to expand into, and to evolve into. And that's what I love about this phase of the moon. It's like, oh, how can I improve my life? How can I grow? How can I evolve? How can I explore? How can I detach from some of the things in my life that I'm feeling a bit too attached to? How can I release those? How can I let those go? So I invite you to just use the last couple of days of this moon phase to just feel into what areas of your life could do with improving. Where could you make space in your life for improving? Perhaps you don't know what needs improving, but you know that there is a general sense of, yeah, I could be doing better. I could be experiencing a better life for myself. So what could I therefore do to make space for the infinite possibilities of improvement that could come in? What can I release in my life? What can I release? And actually, I'm just going to check my schedule, but I believe next week, for next week's live, is the moon phase is surrender and release. So I'm going to do a releasing ritual to really help release habits, release relationships, release energy, release attachments, all of the things. So if you're really interested in making space and making room for improvement in your life, then make sure you tune back in next week for the releasing ritual. I'm super excited about this. And also, if you're interested in clearing your physical space of clutter, mess, energy, negative, stagnant energies, all of the things, I also have a video on YouTube about, I think it's called my spring cleanse and energy reboot ritual. It won't be available for much longer because I am turning it into a mini course. So if you're interested in learning how to cleanse your space and declutter your home and things like that, then check it out, because it won't be free for much longer. I'll be turning it into a mini course. So I'll pop the link below this video so you can check that out, and don't forget to tune back in next week for the releasing ritual. So thanks for tuning into this video, and as always, let me know in the comments if you have any questions. So much love and infinite blessings from me. Bye now.